So, wow. Skip Bayless, formerly of Fox Sports, has been accused of offering a former Fox Sports coworker $1.5 million to have sex with him, according to a shocking new lawsuit filed in Los Angeles. The former Undisputed host, 73, is at the center of a bombshell 42-page lawsuit that alleges he used his position to sexually harass women and inappropriately touched a hairstylist who worked on his show. Nushin Faraji, who says she worked at Fox Sports from 2012 to 2023, has made a series of stunning allegations. First reported by Front Office Sports, including that Bayless offered her $1.5 million to have sex with her and gave her lingering hugs and kisses on multiple occasions. Allegations are also made against Fox Sports Executive Vice President of Content, Charlie Dixon, which Farrelly claimed he grabbed her buttocks at a birthday party in West Hollywood. Joy Taylor, another host at the network, is also embroiled in the case, with the plaintiff claiming she relayed the story of Dixon's advances to her, only to be met with the response, "Get over it." Bayless, who has been married to Ernestine Scalafani since 2016, left Fox in August 2024 after 8 years at the network. A spokesperson for Fox Sports told DailyMail.com, "We take these allegations seriously and have no further comment at this time given this pending litigation." Wow. So it is also alleged in the lawsuit that Bayless began making advances to Farrelly after she started working on his popular Undisputed morning show, which he presented alongside Shannon Sharpe. In the suit, she claims he gave her lingering hugs and kisses on the cheek while putting his body against hers and pressing against her breast. In response, she claims she told him she was not interested and did not date at work, even informing him she was suffering from ovarian cancer in a bid to halt his advances. According to the lawsuit, Bayless became even more aggressive over the years and later accused Farrelly of having sex with his co-host, Shannon Sharpe. Man. He allegedly offered the hairstylist $1.5 million to have sex with him and claimed he could change her life. The suit reads, approximately 1 week later, Mr. Bayless made another advance at Miss Farrelly. Miss Farrelly responded, "Skip, stop, you have a wife." Mr. Bayless responded, "Aren't you Muslim? Doesn't your dad have 3 to 4 wives?" Miss Farrelly responded that her father was dead, and when Mr. Bayless looked taken aback, she made an excuse to leave. Farrelly claims she made multiple complaints to the Human Resources Department at Fox Sports and was forced to endure a misogynistic, racist, and ableist working place where executives and talent were allowed to physically and verbally abuse workers with impunity. Wow. Charlie Dixon is the director of content. The lawsuit comes just months after former Fox Sports Sharpe reached a buyout agreement with the network in the wake of very public fallout with Bayless. The pair repeatedly clashed on air, eventually leading to an end of their relationship and Sharpe moving on to pastures now. Since his own exit from Fox Sports in August, Bayless launched a self-titled podcast that airs on YouTube as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On X, he regularly shares his strong sports opinions to his 3.2 million followers. He has yet to comment on these allegations made against him in the lawsuit. Now, also in this lawsuit is Joy Taylor. Now, along with her alleging that she told Miss Taylor about the advances and she said, "Just get over it," the suit also alleges that Taylor began insulting Miss Faraji on a personal and professional level after their friendship had ended. The suit also alleges that Taylor mocked the English pronunciation of Faraji, who is of Persian descent. Her lengthy tenure at Fox Sports and not so thinly veiled references to multiple anonymous witnesses suggest that she may have the receipts to back up her version of the events, said Daniel Wallach, a sports law attorney and co-host of the podcast Conduct Detrimental. Just as importantly, she contemporaneously raised their issues with coworkers, which in the juror's eyes could boost the credibility of these claims. Now let's get into what she said about Joy Taylor, even furthering things of what she said about Joy Taylor. Now this is some heavy allegations. She said in approximately February 2020, Ms. Taylor asked Ms. Ferrari to meet her for lunch in Beverly Hills. When Ms. Ferrari arrived, she found Ms. Taylor with a man, Emmanuel Archo, Mr. Archo. Ms. Ferrari did not know Mr. Archo, but could tell that the two were romantically involved. A few months after meeting Mr. Archo at the lunch, Ms. Ferrari noticed him in the hallway while at work. So Ms. Ferrari later asked Ms. Taylor if Mr. Archo also worked at Fox. Ms. Taylor confirmed and explained that she wanted Mr. Archo to eventually recommend her on the show Speak for Yourself. Ms. Ferrari became alarmed and warned Ms. Taylor that she should probably not sleep with Mr. Dixon and Mr. Archo at the same time, as Mr. Dixon is a very powerful man that may become very angry. Ms. Taylor told her not to worry about it. She explained that she was now also very powerful, and once Mr. Dixon was no longer useful to her, she would follow through on her plan to tell the company that he forced himself on her. Wow. She would not allow herself to be forced out by Mr. Dixon like other women talent. In approximately September 2022, Ms. Taylor started to work on Speak. Ms. Taylor requested Ms. Ferrari to do her hair. So they say Mr. Dixon, that's Charlie Dixon, and she's stating that she was sleeping, that Joy Taylor was sleeping with Charlie Dixon, and then she started sleeping with Archo. This is nuts. Now here's what she says about when she first met Joy Taylor. In approximately March 2016, Ms. Ferrari met Ms. Taylor, an aspiring sports personality that had recently moved from Miami to Los Angeles for the opportunity of airtime at Fox. At the time, Ms. Taylor did not have a regular position, but would fill in on a day-to-day basis when talent was sick or otherwise missed time. Ms. Taylor told Ms. Ferrari that she was recently wed, but her husband remained in Miami and that she was lonely in Los Angeles. Ms. Taylor then befriended Ms. Ferrari. In May 2016, Ms. Taylor asked Ms. Ferrari to meet her for a drink in Santa Monica. When Ms. Ferrari arrived, she found Ms. Taylor with an older man, Fox Sports Executive Vice President Content, Mr. Dixon. As Executive Vice President, Mr. Dixon is responsible for overseeing all content and production on FS1. Ms. Ferrari, however, did not know Mr. Dixon. When Mr. Dixon went to buy them another round of spicy margaritas, Ms. Ferrari asked who he was. Ms. Taylor responded that he was just a friend. Following that night, whenever Ms. Ferrari would meet with Ms. Taylor for drinks or food, Mr. Dixon would either arrive with Ms. Taylor or show up later in the night and leave with Ms. Taylor. He would always buy rounds of drinks and or food. From their body language, Ms. Ferrari suspected that the pair were sleeping with each other, and although this concerned Ms. Ferrari as she knew Mrs. Taylor was recently married, Ms. Ferrari kept her opinions to herself. In approximately June 2016, while at work, Ms. Ferrari noticed Mr. Dixon in the elevator. Surprised by the coincidence, Ms. Ferrari found Ms. Taylor and told her excitedly the guy who always buys our drinks was in the elevator. Ms. Taylor quickly silenced Ms. Ferrari, explained who he was. Ms. Ferrari became alarmed and warned Miss Taylor that such a relationship was unsafe. Miss Taylor told her not to worry about it. Miss Farahi continued to be friends with Miss Taylor, but tried to distance herself as she considered the situation dangerous as well as morally wrong, as Miss Taylor and Mr. Dixon were both married. In approximately 2016, word spread among Fox employees about a new show that was going to be a big deal, as it would star Mr. Bayless and Shannon Sharp. It was known that Fox was looking for a woman with significant TV experience. It also starred, therefore, it came as a surprise when Fox announced that Miss Taylor, who was a bartender and radio host in Miami with very little TV experience, would be the moderator of the new show, a sports debate program, Skip and Shannon Undisputed. Mr. Bayless later disclosed to Miss Ferrari that he did not want Miss Taylor on the show, but Mr. Dixon was adamant that Miss Taylor would star. At first, Mr. Dixon arranged a dinner between Mr. Bayless and Miss Taylor, where she arrived in provocative clothing and acted in a provocative manner. When that did not change Mr. Bayless' opinion of Miss Taylor, Mr. Dixon asked him to approve of her as a favor to him. Reluctantly, Mr. Bayless agreed to do so as a favor to his friend. Around 2016, Miss Ferrari attended a dinner with Miss Taylor and her husband, and Mr. Dixon and his wife. During the dinner, Miss Taylor's husband became suspicious that Miss Taylor and Mr. Dixon were having a sexual relationship. Soon after the dinner, Miss Taylor's husband found evidence of the inappropriate relationship and divorced Miss Taylor. In approximately September 2016, Undisputed started. Miss Taylor requested Miss Ferrari to do her hair. In approximately November 2016, after not allowing anyone to touch his hair, Mr. Bayless also requested Miss Ferrari to do his hair. So she was added on to the mix. She's basically saying that Joy Taylor got that gig because she was sleeping with Charlie Dixon. She also stated that pretty much that Joy Taylor showed up at a birthday party, showed up at a meeting dressed provocatively and was flirting, I'm going to assume, with Skip Bayless to try to convince him, to let her do the show. Wow. January 2017, Miss Taylor had a birthday party at Pearl's Rooftop in West Hollywood. Miss Farahi and other Fox employees who were attended as it was part of their job duties to appease talent, and a birthday party is an important event. As usual, Mr. Dixon was heavily drinking, buying drinks for everyone on a Fox credit card and blustering that everybody purchased was on Fox's dime. As Miss Farahi was standing near the bar facing the crowd, Mr. Dixon approached her. He asked the bartender for a drink and then placed his arm on Miss Ferrari's lower back. He asked how she was doing, if she was having fun, and if she wanted a tequila shot. Miss Ferrari felt very uncomfortable by his unsolicited touching and responded, "No, thank you." Mr. Dixon moved his hand lower and started rubbing her body and grabbing her buttocks. Miss Ferrari was mortified but quickly thought to fake an incoming call to escape from the situation. Miss Ferrari did not know who to turn to, but as she knew Miss Taylor was sleeping with Mr. Dixon, she turned to her. Surprisingly, Miss Taylor responded to get over it and explained that she herself only had her job because of Mr. Dixon, and that Miss Ferrari only had her job because Miss Taylor requested her. She warned that Mr. Dixon could take both away. Miss Ferrari was terrified and then turned to her co-worker, Anonymous, to discuss the situation. Anonymous responded that Mr. Dixon was disgusting, that the entire situation was sick, but that it wasn't shocking given Fox culture, and that Miss Ferrari should remain quiet if she wanted to keep her job. As a single mother who needed the job to support her son, Miss Ferrari had no choice but to remain silent. 7 years later, in 2023, Miss Perotti told Miss Ferrari that she did not like her or anything about Undisputed. Miss Perotti expanded that she had already scheduled someone for hair on Undisputed when Mr. Dixon called her and told her that she must put Miss Ferrari on Undisputed full time. Miss Perotti told Miss Ferrari, "I didn't like that. That's not how things should be done." Miss Ferrari was stunned and devastated as she prides herself on her work and earning her accolades. Later that day, while thinking about her career, she was angry that Ms. Perotti succumbed to Mr. Dixon's request, as it gave Mr. Dixon the feeling that he could grope her for giving her a job.